Peace be with you. My name is Alan Kiesler, and I have returned home to Esparto, California, from a trip to Nova Scotia, my grandfather's birthplace, and where I also attended a high school class reunion. It was a very meaningful experience for me in many ways, but even more than I was moving around because I lost the signal there, even more than the high school reunion and seeing my grandfather's birthplace and meeting my mother's own first cousin and other relatives, attending a church service led by a Micmac, that is a native woman, was meaningful to me. It was tear-jerking. It was very emotional to hear her account of what had happened to her grandmother and to others of her ancestors at the hands of my grandfather's ancestors in Nova Scotia. The young children, as young as 3 or 4 years old, were forcibly taken from their parents. They were forced to attend residential schools or boarding schools where they lived separate from their families, and many of those children never saw their family members again. Some of them were sometimes able, maybe for Christmas or some vacation, to meet their parents, but some of them never did again. And they were horribly mistreated, abused physically, sexually, emotionally, spiritually. They were not fed adequately. They did not have adequate clothing. They weren't allowed to wear their native clothing. They weren't allowed to speak their own language. They were punished if they did. They were forced to learn English and to adopt Western Christian culture and customs. Cultural genocide. And in addition to cultural genocide, many of those children, at least 5,000 or 6,000 in Canada, we learned, had died and were buried in mass graves, which later were discovered. And so we don't know the exact figures, but at least 5,000 or 6,000 such children died in Canada. And the very same thing happened in the United States. It may have been even worse. Maybe tens of thousands of children died in the American residential schools, as they were called, boarding schools, where these children were abducted from their parents, forcibly taken away from their parents, and were put up. And this went on for many decades. So I've been thinking about this. Those were my ancestors there in Nova Scotia in Canada on my mother's side. And on my father's side, my own grandfather's grandfather actually was the only surviving member of his village when Native Americans attacked and killed everyone in the village. He was a baby and he somehow was spared. So our version of history is these horrible Native Americans killed our ancestors, but what did we do to them that would cause them to do that? We had stolen their land, and who knows what all we had done to them. That was back in the early 1800s or late 1700s when my ancestors did that. So I've been thinking about all of this, and something needs to be done. We, the descendants of those performers of genocide, that's the only truthful way to look at it. And of course there were many treaties that the Americans made with the Native Americans, the Euro-Americans made with the Native Americans, and then those treaties were one after another broken, again and again. So there's no excuse, there's no justification. There needs to be proper, not just reconciliation. There needs to be first acknowledgement and understanding of truthfully what happened, and then reparations need to be made. the minimum that needs to be done is that the land that was stolen needs to be returned to the descendants of the people from whom it was stolen. We Americans need to return land, and as a young woman who led the church service in Nova Scotia, her name was Hannah, as Hannah said, we don't need to take away the land of the settlers, because there's so much government land, royal land in Canada, federal land in the United States, that can be returned to the native people. So that needs to be done. And because I'm always thinking of Pakistan, naturally I thought about Pakistan also in this context. And although it's hard to admit, and I don't think Pakistanis see history this way any more than Americans or Canadians see history the way we've been learning now what horrible things our ancestors did. The ancestors of the present day Pakistanis, of course it's a very complicated, much more complicated situation there, but we usually think about the things that our ancestors suffered, the zulms, the injustices that our ancestors suffered, and we don't think about the injustices or the horrible things that our ancestors did. But we need to do both. So I've been thinking about how Pakistanis and Indians also need to reconcile, because on both sides horrible crimes were committed against the other. The ancestors of some of whom are still alive today, who experienced 1947 and the horrible things that happened at that time. But certainly it's only been 70 years since that tragedy that happened with the independence and creation of Pakistan and India as independent from the British. And of course the British were also largely responsible, and they really need to do something also, or I do, since many of my ancestors were British, and my own grandparents and parents were in India in 1947 and Pakistan. So everybody needs to acknowledge the truth of what happened and make reparations and apologize. So this is something I have been thinking about, and I'm praying about for guidance as to what I should do and what should we all do to try and promote truth and reconciliation in this situation also. So that's just what I wanted to speak a little bit about today, and I will see if there are any questions or comments. Actually, I cannot take much time because after returning from my vacation, I've been immediately asked to teach. So I've been very busy now, and I will be next week also, and who knows for how long, teaching. So I won't be able to take as much time for Facebook as I was before. But I will just make this a short chat and see if there are any questions I can answer. Okay, Umaira Anwar is first. Assalamu alaikum, love to see you back. I'm very happy to be back, and I regret that I'm going to be so busy that I won't be able to spend too much time. And Romeo says, sir, can you please explain how do we progress in the realm of spirituality? Well, since I've just been talking about it, one very important thing to do to progress in the realm of spirituality is to acknowledge the truth, including the truth of what we have done and what our ancestors have done, and make the appropriate reparations and reconcile ourselves with the descendants of the people who our ancestors offended, and ask for forgiveness. And especially the people that we have mistreated or offended, we need to ask for their forgiveness. And we need to forgive ourselves. Forgiveness is one of the most important things to do to progress in the realm of spirituality. Ask forgiveness for our own crimes and sins and errors from the people that we have offended, and also ask for forgiveness from the descendants of the people that our ancestors offended? Very good question. Thank you. I'm glad it fit in so well with our topic for today. Ahmed Pakistan Wala, Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Kiesler. How are you and your family? Long time no see. Yes, my good wife and spiritual guide and I were on vacation. We had gone to Nova Scotia in Canada, where my grandfather was born and where I also attended a class reunion. So that's why I've not been on Facebook for a couple of weeks. And as soon as I got back, I was very busy with teaching. Just see. Shahzaf Iqbal says, Sir, Pakistan is a small country as compared to India. Yes, that is true. So both sides, doesn't matter. The fact that Pakistan is smaller doesn't mean that Pakistanis or the ancestors of Pakistanis didn't do anything to harm Indians or the ancestors of Indians. And of course, both sides, we know, committed horrible crimes against the other. So we need to truthfully acknowledge not only the crimes and the injustices that were perpetrated upon our ancestors by the other party, but the crimes, the injustices that our ancestors committed against the other party. So it goes both ways. Small country to big country and big country to small country. Of course, maybe the big country should apologize more because they're bigger, but both. It's just like, brothers or sisters. Really, I've been stressing that in my own thinking, that Pakistan and India are actually siblings. So, or twins even. So, Pakistanis and Indians need to reconcile, because there is a past history and a present, at the present time also. There is so much hatred that needs to be looked at truthfully. Why is there this hatred? What have we done to promote the hatred? And what can we do to end that hatred and to promote understanding and harmony and even love? All right, Shahzad Iqbal. So Pakistan never had threatening tone towards India since its independence. Well, I'm talking especially about what happened in 1947, when both Pakistanis and Indians, both Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs, committed horrible crimes against the people of the other country and the people of the other religions. Shahzad Iqbal, it's India who never accepted Pakistan as an independent country. Yes, so India definitely needs to acknowledge the reality of Pakistan and accept that Pakistan has a valid existence, and those Indians who think otherwise, as you were saying, not all Indians think that way, but some Indians who don't accept Pakistan as an independent country definitely need to do that. And, all right, so that's all the questions I have that are related. So मैं थोड़ा सा उर्दू में भी बात करूँगा फिर, अगर किसी ने नहीं समझा मेरी बात. मैं बता रहा था कि मैं अभी नोवा स्कोशिया कनाडा से वापस आया हूँ, जहाँ मेरे नाना पैदा हुआ था, और उनके बाप दादे भी वहाँ 1780s से वहाँ रह रहे थे. तो मेरे बाप दादाओं ने वहाँ के लोग, जो लोग अंग्रेज़ों के आने से पहले अमेरिका में बहुत लोग थे, और उनको क्या किया, उसको सुनना भी बहुत मुश्किल है मेरे लिए. बहुत जुल्म किए गए थे मेरे बाप दादाओं ने, अमेरिका के आदि, मतलब पहले रहने वाले लोग. और वो लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं, हकीकत में रूहानी हैं. उनसे हम मिले अभी नोवा स्कोशिया में. मेरे फेसबुक पेज पे मैंने पोस्ट भी किया इसके बारे में. तो सिर्फ अभी कितने सदियों के बाद, और सिर्फ सदियों के बाद, तो आज भी यहाँ अमेरिका में और कनाडा में भी जो यहाँ के पहले अंग्रेज़ों के आने से पहले जो लोग यहाँ रहते, उनके आज तक भी उनके खिलाफ जुल्म किया जा रहा है. तो इन सब चीज़ों के लिए माफ़ी मांगना चाहिए हमें, और ये हम कर रहे हैं. तो वैसे ही इंडिया और पाकिस्तान में भी दोनों ने जुल्म किया 1947 में, और उसके बाद और उससे पहले भी. लेकिन ख़ास कर 1947 में दोनों इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के लोगों ने दूसरों के खिलाफ बहुत जुल्म किया। तो इन चीज़ों को हमें हकीकत में समझना चाहिए और माफ़ी मांगना चाहिए। तो ये मैं कह रहा था। अच्छा, अफसोस की बात है सिग्नल बारंबार कट जा रहा है। ठीक है, मैं कुछ और सवाल देखूंगा। अमजद मालिक साहब कह रहे हैं, अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, हाउ आर यू, वी अप्रिशिएट योर डिवोशन टू पाकिस्तान, वी ऑल लव यू लॉट्स एंड प्रे फॉर योर long life and excellent health, may Allah bless you lots. Yes, I am very devoted to Pakistan because I know Pakistan is a very special country, and I've also realized only as a result of this trip and thinking about this trip to the place where my grandfather was born and my maternal ancestors lived, horrible crimes were committed against the native people by my ancestors. So I've been thinking about Pakistan and the crimes that were committed not only against Pakistanis by Indians, or not only against Muslims by Hindus and Sikhs, but also the crimes that were committed by Pakistanis or Muslims against Hindus and Sikhs who were Pakistanis and had to leave. So it's happened both ways. Muhajirs from India came to Pakistan, and people who were living in Pakistan had to flee and establish their new homes in India. So it went both ways. So thinking about this, I'm understanding the first step, truth and reconciliation. This is what is necessary. Truth must be acknowledged first, and apologies must be made, and reconciliation must follow. अच्छा, शायद ये काफ़ी है फिर, और मुझे माफ़ करना, मैं ज़्यादा पता नहीं कितना टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन शायद अगले हफ्ते भी मैं ज़्यादा अगले वीकेंड को मैं शायद फिर एक फेसबुक लाइव कर सकूँगा, क्योंकि आज मैं एक कोर्स भी ले रहा हूँ। सैटरडे आज है, संडे 8-10 घंटे का कोर्स अभी मुझे लेना है, और फिर मंडे को फिर पढ़ाने के लिए वापस स्कूल में जाना है। तो इसलिए माफ़ करना कि मैं ज़्यादा अभी भी फेसबुक में नहीं आ सकूँगा। लेकिन सब शुक्रिया। Allah Hafiz. May God be with us all and protect us all. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.